This country's about the red, white, and blue. Giving your up till the job is through.
Great.
We are coming to your city. JJ Hayes, tell us 10 things about your hometown. I've got the questions. Are you ready?
I think I'm ready.
All right. Most famous person from Wichita, Kansas.
Gosh, that's a relatively long list. Now, I want to preface this whole interview with, well, I feel like I'm an ingrained part of the Wichita community. I've only been here for about 9 years, so it's still sort of on the job learning for some of this stuff. But I was fascinated to learn how many famous people are from this town. Jeff Probst of Survivor.
Oh, wow. I didn't know that.
Yeah. So next time he goes to tribal council, Wichita. You want to go a little further back, the 70s and 80s. Well, we'll go 80s and 90s. Don Johnson, Kirstie Alley.
Yes.
I have yet to run into Kirstie Alley at Trader Joe's here in town, although I've heard from friends of mine that it does happen. So
yes.
Sports figures, Barry Sanders.
Yep.
Played at North High School. Gail Sayers was born here, grew up in Omaha. So I don't know whether that really counts or not. I wrote down another one. This one goes a lot further back. Hattie McDaniel.
Oh, wow.
Actually, I think just recently passed away this year, I think,
right.
Who played in Gone with the Wind.
Yeah. Very cool.
Yeah. So
right.
A whole handful of people.
Wichita, Kansas is best known for what?
Okay, so when I first moved here, everyone talked about how I guess they described it as like a little big city. It has everything you need, everything you want for it. But I mean, if it's most famous for aviation. I mean, on a technical and industry standpoint, it is the aviation capital of the world. Between having the airport here in town, then you've got McConnell and a couple of other smaller airstrips, and then you've got all the aviation manufacturing that goes on here.
Yep.
Even in and around Wichita, you start talking about the space industry.
Sure.
Boeing, Spirit. There's a company out in Augusta that actually has made parts that will be going into space on the Artemis 1 rocket.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So really steeped in aviation history. The town would not have it thrived as much as it did if not for, the need to build B-29 bombers like the one they showcase here in town dock.
Sure.
The towns sprung up around the aviation industry here.
Yeah. No, that works. Ketchup or mustard on your hot dog?
Both.
That would
be. You know what? All the haters who say you don't put ketchup on hot dogs, you absolutely can, because you know what? Do what makes you happy. Right? I mean, do what makes you. If bastardizing a beef frank by putting ketchup on it, is something that's going to get you mad, then you've got bigger problems, I think.
Biggest event Wichita, Kansas has.
Oh, Riverfest, 100%.
Riverfest.
Okay. Yeah, Riverfest. And I still keep on trying to get my relatives down here during it. My mother won't come because it gets too hot down around June. She lives up in New Hampshire, and my sister just doesn't leave the state of Maine. But one of these days I'm going to get them here. But yeah, it's a fun 9 days of festival, and you buy a button, and it gets you into all the events. You pay extra for food and things like that. But there's concerts, there's everything from magic shows, plenty of entertainment. It's a really big community event, the parade, everything.
Very good. You've been here for 9 years. You've met a ton of people. Who's the
Yep.
oldest person in Wichita, Kansas that you personally know?
I saw this question and I'm still trying to think of somebody. And the only person I can think of he's a great man. My friend Lonnie the plumber, I call him.
All right.
This guy is a legend. And let me tell you why. My first house that my late wife and I rented here in Wichita, before we bought a house, was basic accommodations. It was a little rough around the edges, and the water heater goes out one day, and it's got wooden steps going down into an unfinished basement. We call this guy Lonnie, and he comes down, and he's got to be in his 80s. And my man Lonnie goes down with a dolly, drains the water heater halfway, and starts coming up the steps on the dolly and I'm like, Lonnie, do you want a hand? He's like, no, I got to get out of the way. I'm like, dude, that's experience talking. That is a man who has seen some things, and to me, he's one of the greatest, oldest people I've met.
Lonnie the plumber, that's awesome.
Lonnie the plumber, yep.
All
Shout
right.
out to Lonnie.
Best place to see the stars in Wichita, Kansas?
Anywhere outside city limits, really. I mean, Wichita's tough because of all the what they call it, light pollution. But you start going out to some of these bedroom communities like, Rose Hill, or out by Pretty Prairie, or out by El Dorado Lake or Cheney Lake, and just stop. Find a wide open space, and that's the cool thing. That's the cool thing about when I came to Kansas. And I can find beauty in anywhere. I came. I used to live in the Blue Hills and the Shenandoah Valley. I've lived on the coast of Maine. And Kansas is equally as beautiful, in my opinion, when you come across the Flint Hills and things like that. But you find an open space like that and just look up, and you won't be disappointed.
Okay, I'm changing this next question on you since you're from the East Coast originally.
Okay, go ahead.
Best place to get seafood in Wichita?
Oh, all right. This is a self-serving answer. I'm going to give you two answers. One's a self-serving answer because I like to cook. My house.
Okay.
Secondly, if my wife and I are going to go out to eat, gosh, Newport Grill is good. Some of the fancier restaurants like George's French Bistro. Shout out to Sienna Tuscan Steakhouse. Because they're getting this stuff, and I spoke to one of the chefs. They're getting this stuff relatively fresh, frozen as it comes off the boats and the trucks in like the Houston area. But we have such a great, restaurant scene. You don't necessarily have to go to a fancy restaurant to get good seafood.
Sure.
I mean, the public at the Brickyard is really good. My friend Josh works down there. There's plenty of options. You know what? Some people even like Long John Silver. So
there you go.
No
discrimination here. If you could rename Wichita, Kansas to a different name, what would you call it?
I saw this question. That's a hard question. That is a hard question. Renaming Wichita, because it's nicknames. It's nicknames. It's got Chinatown. It's got Doodah. It's got the aviation capital of the world. I can't think of an actual name. It would have to have something to do with the lifestyle, the everything you need all in one place, middle America, friendly living for the most part. I mean, every city has its rough spots and its crime and stuff that's going to make the news and get the internet trolls out. But for the most part, Wichita is a very generous, very kind, very livable community. The livable city. In a short answer, the livable city. That'll never fly. But here's the thing, and this will kind of touch on to you. I'm going to jump ahead to. I know you've got this question about. I know you got this question coming up about one thing I've learned about Wichita that I didn't know, that other people may not know. I'm still sourcing this out, but on the air this morning, I talked about how I don't think Wichita has a city slogan.
Okay.
A lot of states, a lot of cities have slogans. Like Maine, where I came from, their slogan was "The way life should be."
Right.
A neighboring town next to us, El Dorado, well-refined living. That's an oil community.
Right.
So that works out well too. And I asked, and I went to visitwichita.org, which is like the Chamber of Commerce website, and they came up with, "We're always ready." I don't know what that means. I don't. So if I find out, and I'm currently got a message into the mayor, if I find out that Wichita does not have a city slogan, which many people, I even asked my friend Phil Thompson, who works down the hall at the radio station at 104.5 The Fox. The guy knows everything about Wichita. And he's like, he didn't even know if Wichita had a city slogan. So if I hear that the city does not have one, I'm going to start a competition and have people come up with one and maybe collaborate with the mayor and have him, pick a day where we officially give Wichita a city slogan, as long as it's not like City McCity Face or something like that. There you
go. No, it makes sense. That's perfect. Okay, if you were in charge of hiding the medallion for Riverfest, where would you put it?
Ooh, that's a good one. I was going to say in plain sight, because here's the thing. We're so wrapped up in our devices and things like that. You could put that thing on the ground and people would walk right by it.
Yeah.
But that's not a fair answer. That's not a fair answer. I think I would put it on top of the parking garage that people can see heading westbound on Kellogg downtown by like the Doodad Diner and the Fairfield Inn, only because every time I drive by there, there's never any cars at the very top of that parking lot. I just put it on the top deck of that parking lot.
There you go.
No one would ever find it.
There you go. You heard it first. Awesome. Thank you for joining us, JJ Hayes. 10 things about your new hometown, Wichita, Kansas.
Bonus, real quick before you go, the barbecue question you didn't hit on.
Oh yes, sweet or spicy?
Gonna go vinegar. Carolina barbecue, baby. Carolina barbecue is my jam. So anyway, there you go.
That's what I figured.